What is going on, everybody? It is episode 762 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my returning co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I am back from DC. I was there for the inauguration. I know Kellen took my place yesterday. Did he behave himself while I was gone?
As best he could.
Was it good?
As best
it
he
okay?
could. Yep.
No one got mad at him. He wasn't contrarian for no reason.
Actually, you know, so for the first 20 or 30 minutes, I didn't have my eye on the chat, so it's completely possible that he said something unbelievably contrarian that I don't remember.
But yeah, at a certain point, you just have to stop listening.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody... chat, let us know. Was there anything that Kellen said yesterday that you felt was particularly more contrarian than his usual takes?
It's okay, though. I appreciate him being needlessly contrarian. It makes things interesting, spices the conversation up a little bit.
It does. It does. And thank you, Kellen, if you are watching, which I'm sure he's not.
Thank you, Kellen.
Thank you.
I raised my seat up about 2 feet.
Yeah, I had to ask him to drop the chair.
Yeah, after getting back in here.
He sat down and it was like just his neck. So, guys, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, and Mary's back. So hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. If you want to help the show, the best way that you can do that is to share these videos out. You know, the videos, the live stream, the channel. Share them out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people that you like, people that you don't like, a mortal enemy, perhaps, if you have one. And if you have a mortal enemy, perhaps let us know in the chat who that is, because I would be interested to know who in the chat has one. But the more people that you share the segments and the episodes with, the faster that this channel can grow. It is the best way to help us, so thank you guys so much for that. So what are we talking about today? Well, you know what? Pop culture being what it is these days, you feel like, as I said yesterday, all over Pop Crave, all over Pop Base. It was nothing but inauguration coverage, because the two are seemingly interconnected now. So today we are going to look at some of the celebrity and TikTok reactions to Trump's inauguration from yesterday. Mary also wants to delve into the fashion of the inauguration.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get really nerdy about all of the fashion and the secret messages behind it all.
You'll have to explain it, because I have no idea. All I thought was interesting was that Oscar De La Renta was getting crap for even posting about it.
Yeah, people are boycotting, getting very mad about it, but I think that maybe the fashion world and Melania Trump will come to a truce eventually in the course of this administration.
So we're going to talk about that. Also, guys, you know, with the temporary, blink and you miss it TikTok ban, a bunch of TikTok users went over to Red Note and became instant communists. So we are going to talk about the instant communists.
But it's not just that.
Yeah.
What I found even more interesting is that a lot of Chinese men on Red Note are finding Western women more attractive than Chinese women and have completely changed their preferences.
Which is weird, because
TikTok
it's the other way.
refugees showed up.
Yeah, it's the other way here in America.
So the Chinese men are going to become passport bros for American women, while the American men become passport bros for the Chinese women. I don't know.
Can make a great
They're not really going to China though. They go to like Thailand, right?
They can make a great political cartoon of them like waving at each other as their planes pass by each other in the air.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. Mary's she's taking a sip from her larger than life.
Am I allowed to drink water?
You are allowed to drink water.
It's actually not water. It's always Gatorade.
Okay. Are you ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and get started then. So, guys, bad news continues to pile up for Marvel. They did have a big hit last year with Deadpool and Wolverine, but as we know, Captain America 4 Brave New World, which, brings Sam in, not as Falcon, but as the new Captain America, is going to be off to a rough start, because I was talking to Valiant Renegade earlier, and I asked him, what do you think the budget is on this movie? And he is estimating that it is north of $400 million, which means this movie needs to make at least $1 billion if this movie wants to come anywhere close to breaking even. That is, of course, before marketing, but this movie looks like it's going to open to about anywhere between $80 and $100 million with a projected domestic total as like the highest of $280 million. It is not looking good for this film.
Can you make it make sense to me that this is debuting on Valentine's Day?
Black History Month.
Is that why?
Yes.
How do you, did they say
did it
that?
They did it for Wakanda Forever as well.
Did they say that?
I don't know if they said it implicitly, but they did the same thing with, and actually that is a point that I thought was interesting.
Bizarre.
So first of all, the initial critique makes perfect sense. That's extremely pandery, It's weird. I don't know why you do that, but it makes more sense for Black Panther, where racial identity and Wakanda and Africa are all tied into it, whereas Captain America is supposed to symbolize all of America, but it does fall over President's Day, right?
President's Day weekend.
So they have a long weekend, so that at least makes a little bit of sense. We've got Thunderbolt, President Thunderbolt Ross.
Who the heck gets President's Day off?
Unless
you work at a bank.
I just saw the other day that Trump ordered everyone back to the office too, like all the government
federal
workers,
employees, because there were only like 6% of them going into the office on a regular basis. The rest of it was totally abandoned.
So
funny.
The crazy part about this is if you look at these articles, it's comparing it to movies like Shang-Chi and the Eternals and the Marvels, which are all part of literally the worst era in Marvel history. These are not the movies that you want to be compared to. So if it's going to open between 80 and 100 million, just as a connection there, I believe, if I remember correctly, that Captain America Civil War, which was the last Captain America entry before this, last one was Steve Rogers, it opened to $179 million.
Mm-hmm. And they're saying as a point of bragging rights that this is set to open to 1.2 times what the Marvels opened,
which was $47 million, which was abysmal.
I mean, still, the Marvels, didn't that cost like half as much?
Yes. Okay. So
and there's less anticipation for that than for this, which was surprisingly voted by the people. One of the most anticipated movies, the most anticipated blockbuster movies of 2025, which is insane to me.
The closest thing that I can think of is that Quantumania opened to about the same amount, about $144 million or $104 million. That movie cost $388 million to make, so there was no way that movie was going to make any money either. But this is what happens when you put your movies through extensive reshoots and rewrites, because the political landscape in which the messaging of the movie was on was pulled out from underneath it, and it's no longer relevant anymore. It's going to be very interesting to see. Like, look, these days, I don't even think opening weekend is necessarily the greatest indicator for a movie anyways. It can certainly be a great indicator for initial interest, I guess, but strong box office continuation, strong legs is what actually makes a movie work these days. Like, look at, everybody was dunking on The Lion King, the most recent Lion King movie, but it has just continued to just hobble and pick up steam, and it is well over $600 million globally now.
That is insane.
Yeah, it ended up doing pretty well, even though it got its ass kicked by Sonic. The opening weekend, it had better legs.
That's shocking to me that people are actually going to theaters to watch Mufasa, which is basically a glorified Nat Geo documentary. Like, I don't understand how something so soulless could make that much money.
It was holidays played a big part in that.
Must be that people just got bored.
Yeah.
That's another thing about the debut. Like, are couples gonna go see Captain America for Valentine's Day
I was
weekend?
thinking about that.
That's insane.
It made sense for Black Panther, because Black Panther during Black History Month, that makes sense to me.
But they never explicitly announced, like, we're releasing Brave New World during Black History Month because Anthony Mackie is in it.
Not that I saw.
It was never said outright. But you think it's implied that way?
Yeah, I do.
And when do you think
because releasing movies in February is a death sentence.
Really?
January, January and December, January and February are not good months to release movies. So, I don't know why you would do that other than to pander.
Right, but when do you think this was written?
The movie?
Yeah, when do you think
Years
this was
ago.
written? Like 2017?
2019.
2019.
2020.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat might know better if they have any information.
Everyone's talking about a vibe shift, right?
Yeah,
everyone's talking about this big vibe shift that just happened because of Trump's win. But also people were talking about it before then, too.
It had its legs pulled out from under it because the political landscape changed. And a lot of people understand that there was a lot of political commentary in Falcon and the Winter Soldier that were tied to racial identity of Sam Wilson. The problem is, and this is the point that I always make, is look, a lot of times the movies don't have that stuff nearly as much as the TV shows do. When a TV show has 8 to 10 episodes to fill and the writers are incompetent, you're going to get that stuff peppered in there because they don't know how to fill the time. With a movie, if you really think about it, some explosions, a bad guy, Red Hulk. You can feel, and this is like the shortest, like one of the shortest Marvel movies. I believe it comes in just under 2 hours. So it's like, I think I saw that Dave Cullen, it's like $3 million a minute this movie cost or something like that.
I wonder what the promo and all the press is going to look like for this movie, because everything I've heard about Anthony Mackie is that he's one of the most self-important, self-indulgent actors.
Is that true? I don't know.
Yeah, and that he has a huge ego. So I feel like, I'm just going to read from this excerpt. It says, there's no overstating the pressure that Anthony Mackie and director Julius Ona are on with Captain America Brave New World. Most of the general audience still picture Chris Evans as Captain America and would need a lot of convincing to see another take the mantle. So if this flops, which it looks like it will, you have a really easy out to just say, well, it's because you're racist and you prefer to watch a white man play this character.
Well, and a lot of people thought that it was going to be Bucky, Sebastian Stan's character that was going to end up playing Captain America, because it made more sense. Because in the movies, in the first Captain America, like him and Bucky have a close relationship, and that's a through line through most of the films, is that he grew up with his best friend. Sam Wilson didn't come in until Winter Soldier, and wasn't as close to him until later on after he was, unfrozen. Mm-hmm. So it makes more sense in a story form to give the shield to the Winter Soldier, but they didn't do that.
Do you know what the basic premise is here? I got the sense that he's being taken up basically as a contractor for the government.
Yeah, like he wants to bring Sam Wilson back in as Captain America, and that eventually we'll get Red Hulk and that Thunderbolt Ross will be the bad guy.
But like the interests of the government are clashing with what he wants to do.
What's really funny about it is I thought the trailer was fine. Outside of the a lot of the CGI was spotty, but the scene around the White House I thought looked fine, and I didn't think that they should have revealed Red Hulk. To me, if the movie stays away from identity politics, I can imagine, and as we know, I'm not a good gauge of this. I saw somebody on Twitter the other day say, like, Brett seems like a good guy outside of his horrible movie taste. Okay, that's fine, right? Like, I love the big budget box office slop. If all it is a bunch of people punching themselves, punching each other in the head, I'm usually okay with that, as long as you stay away from weird identity politics and the pace isn't super plotting. But the problem is, if the idea here is that this went through like endless reshoots, right? And they spent $400 million reshooting this movie like 2 or 3 times, and all you got out of that, again, the final runtime on this movie is 1 hour and 58 minutes. First of all, to me, that's a win anyways. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't signal something good for the movie, that you remade the movie 2 or 3 times and all you got out of it coherently was 1 hour and 58 minutes.
Yeah, still glad that it's under 2 hours.
But the problem is like we're in this era now where when a movie costs that much, it doesn't even matter if it's the greatest movie in the world. Making that much money back isn't easy. Making $1 billion as your like basement for your film, that you have to make $1 billion to break even, is insane.
But they're like riding this high of the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, and then it's just gonna cascade.
But
downwards.
Even that didn't cost anywhere near. I mean, I don't remember what the budget for Deadpool and Wolverine was, but I'm sure it was in the 200-ish range of millions of dollars, and not 400 or whatever. And when it comes to that, everyone knows Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and everybody knows Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. There is no controversy around the casting there. In fact, one of the upsides to that film was they brought back a bunch of the Fox actors as going back to their characters again. So they had all sorts of goodwill from that. And look, I'm not here to doubt Disney inherently. They had $3 billion movies in the year of 2024. Now that Moana 2 is a $1 billion film as well, certainly they did something right. But as I keep saying, you can't expect 1 year of good movies to suddenly have people be like, oh, you know what, those Marvel movies, those seem good again. That's not how that works.
You know, Moana 2, from the sound of it, was also corporate slop.
Yeah.
Like, they made all these statements like, kids are going to be singing these songs for generations. Nobody even remembers it now. People
pretend like they want new stuff, but the $1 billion movies are usually corporate slop. The Joker, the 2019 Joker, was an aberration, and even then, it was still based on like $1 billion corporate slop character.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's great. It's avant-garde corporate slop.
Which I guess I would prefer because I did enjoy Joker 2019.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean,
they can't even follow up on avant-garde corpo slop with something worth your time.
Avant-gardier.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
They just
this
went
time
even
around.
harder into that theme. It didn't hit the same at
But
all.
look, it would take 2 or 3 years of good Marvel movies, and they've got 2 other chances this year, Thunderbolts. But how is that going to do? I guess we've got Florence Pugh and David Harbour to save the MCU. Blade is
I know
not
you're a
coming out
big
this
fan
year.
of Florence Pugh.
Yeah. And sadly, I am actually a big fan of David Harbour. He's one of those actors that I do talk about. When I talk about the idea of separating art from artists, he's actually a great example of that because he's extremely annoying.
How so?
He's just a politically annoying, he's just a very annoying person.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Kevin Alejandro. Like they're both these guys who are, or no, that's not, I'm sorry, not Kevin Alejandro, different actor. I don't want to slander that guy.
I've just heard that Anthony Mackie is the type of guy who doesn't even make eye contact with the underclass and thinks very highly of himself.
Yeah.
So if/when this flops, it's going to be a huge hit to his ego.
Well, and then look, just send him back to Disney Plus. Then I guess you have to send him back. Look, and here's the problem: we've talked
To the
me
dungeon.
and you have had the discussion before. It's like there is no problem with being a really, really good supporting character. Like that's needed too, and that's important. Now, do I believe that Bucky could have pulled off his own Captain America movie on his own? Yeah, I think that he could have.
Aren't they talking about giving Channing Tatum a spin-off movie?
Yes, I mean I don't know how real that is, but a lot of that's based
Why?
because his role as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine was so memeable because of the accent.
I would not be able to suffer through
Couldn't do
2
it.
hours of that.
Couldn't do it.
I don't think people would watch that.
I just saw some of these takes. I thought it was funny. WDW Pro says the Eternals grossed $164 million domestically. This is shaping up to be a catastrophe because they're comparing it to the Eternals. Disparu says, yes, on par with the Eternals. They'll love that. And he highlighted an old article. It says, the Eternals leaves theaters with the 2nd worst domestic performance in MCU history. See, the internet never forgets, ladies and gentlemen. And then Cosmic Marvel, that was this post. And I just want you to look at one of the other things that you use as a way of gauging whether a movie's going to do well or not is whether it has any competition at that time. And there isn't really a lot coming out in February that's on the same plane as that. So on the same weekend, on the 14th, we get, this is on Peacock, Bridget Jones' Mad About a Boy. Is that Bridget Jones' Diaries?
Yeah,
Bridget
they're
Jones'
making
Diaries?
another Bridget Jones with
So-
Renee Zellweger.
So
which
also
I don't
on
have high hopes for.
also on February 14th is Paddington in Peru. Not really the same audience, but I bet you that movie does really well.
People love Paddington.
Yeah, I bet you that movie does really well.
I've heard good things.
The Unbreakable Boy comes out February 21st. Does not look like it's in the same. It's about a boy with autism.
Wait, who stars in that?
I think was this the Zachary Levi one?
Yeah, Zachary Levi.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I heard that they actually completely shut down production and decided not to release it. But then there was some kind of shakeup with the production of it.
Oh,
and
okay.
Then they
it's getting
decided to
released.
release it way later.
Yep.
So they feel like maybe the child star in it, there was some kind of dispute.
Oh.
I don't know.
Wait, related to like the character, like to the story, to the
I have
subject
no idea.
matter?
I'm not
Yeah.
sure, but there was some kind of drama underneath the surface there.
Then there's The Cleaner on February 21st. It says when a group when a group of radical activists take over an energy company's gala and take 300 hostages, their mission takes a turn for the worse when one member takes things to the extreme. Now it's up to a soldier turned window cleaner.
Okay.
Literally hanging outside the building to save the day. I might skip
I would be
Captain
more likely to
America and
watch
go to
that.
see that.
Yeah.
So, make of that what you will, guys. Marvel has a long way back if they want to regain the public's trust, but we'll have to wait and see, but I don't see them breaking even on this movie.
The lengths that people go to scrape the bottom of the barrel for clout, specifically on TikTok, never cease to amaze. And as you know, the TikTok shutdown was a ruse all along. It is going to come back in the US. You will see no end of this. Some people will do just about anything to get their dream body. A trans woman from Kansas City had 6 ribs removed in order to achieve a smaller waist.
I sent this to Mary last week. I rarely post about this type of stuff on Twitter, but I just posted like, you will live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension. It's kind of true.
It's not unheard of that people would get ribs removed for cosmetic reasons.
I heard that Marilyn Manson did that.
Marilyn Manson, of course, the old wives' tale. But like that in and of itself is not unheard of. But 6 ribs sounds like you're severely endangering your life. On top of how crazy that is.
Don't get in any fist fights.
But just on top of how crazy that decision is in and of itself, this person who goes by Emily James on TikTok documented the whole experience and then showed images of the removed ribs on TikTok for everyone to see, and now plans, after spending $17,000 on the surgery, to create a crown out of the removed ribs.
Absolutely bonkers.
How is that even legal?
That's what a lot of people are asking, right? Is like, have we gone too far? And why are these doctors allowed to affirm such strangely mentally ill behavior?
I don't know. Would a biological woman getting or asking to get this kind of elective cosmetic surgery even be allowed to do it? Or is it only allowed under the umbrella of gender affirming care?
I bet you they'd allow it.
These days, yeah, and these doctors are still allowed to basically
Did they just skip the
do malpractice.
Did they just skip the do no harm part now?
Yeah, that's not really even in consideration
It's like
anymore.
do more harm.
Do more harm all the time, whenever possible.
The new Hippocratic Oath.
So this TikToker, at 27 years old, by the way, said, I plan on having someone make a crown out of the ribs. They let me keep them, and I was initially going to gift them to my best friend.
First of all, that's narcissistic as F.
That's insane.
Like, what the hell makes you like? I don't know if any of my friends would ever be crazy enough to think that I would want their ribs.
Emily James said, in 3 days, I'm getting 3 ribs removed on each side. I'm going to have an Emily barbecue. That's the way it was phrased. And I don't even know if we're allowed to show this on YouTube.
I accidentally scrolled past it. I have
apparently
no idea.
This is allowed to be shown on TikTok, so I can only guess it's and some people can't even keep their tonsils when they get those removed, or their wisdom teeth removed. You're not allowed to keep that because that's actual biomedical waste.
Yep.
That shouldn't be your keepsake from your cosmetic surgery. But yeah, they say
you didn't want it in your the doctor should be like, you didn't even want it in your body. Why would I give it to you on the outside of your body?
I plan on making them into a crown. I've had people say they would make them into a chew toy for a dog, or boil them down into broth.
Bone broth.
To drink your own bone broth. Self-cannibalism. Despite some people's suggestions, James said she won't be eating her ribs in any form.
Well, I suppose small victories in this case.
Army Hammer is like, hey, I'm right here. You could have donated them.
He's like, I'm
me.
back in the movies right now. Are you kidding me? I'm a star again. Let me go.
Yeah. Emily James clarified, eating human meat can cause a plethora of disorders that are fatal. So I will not be partaking in cannibalism.
Yeah,
Thank
goes
oh,
to
well,
your
that
brain.
would just be that would be a bridge too far, of course.
It's like a prion disease, the ones that eat your brain from the inside.
So I would like to think that none of you watching right now would support this decision, but here's a little bit more of a nuanced example. Here on TikTok, a cancer patient had to get her arm amputated, and as a coping mechanism for the loss of her limb, she held a TikTok funeral for the amputated arm and filmed the whole thing.
Should we watch the
let's take a look at the video. It's honestly quite disturbing. There it is. It's wearing a corsage there. Why does she look so happy?
I'm Eldira, and this is my arm. That's on the table right now.
Fans do it.
I feel many things at the same time.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this was done for views and not because it actually helps her.
It's Allie.
Really?
I feel, yeah.
name's Isabel, and I'm having the time of my life.
My name's Sasha, and this is fascinating. Morbid, but fascinating.
My name's Dale, and this is actually happening.
His suit kind of eats, though.
My name's Christina, and I'm happy that it brings some closure.
Yeah, she's awesome.
You know how some people shave their heads in solidarity with a friend who has cancer? Imagine if all of the people in this friend group got sympathy amputations.
That's real, friend.
And had
That's a real friendship.
Collective arm funeral for all of their arms.
Thank you, No Control, for noticing my go out on a limb joke.
So, I mean, obviously, this was deemed a medically necessary
so that makes
procedure.
sense.
That was necessary, okay? Holding the memorial service for your amputated arm and then posting it on TikTok is another thing entirely.
Well, let me ask you this. What if you did it but didn't post it, didn't film a video out of it? Well, what if it was the type of thing where...
That's defensible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's the act of filming it and turning it into monetizable content
Yeah.
that makes it egregious.
She also posted a photo shoot of herself with her amputated arm on Instagram. She said, "What started as a joke, holding a service for my amputated arm, ended up being a beautifully cathartic experience. I laughed at the absurdity of it for a minute and then just stared at the shriveled up skin for a while, trying to remember the past 22 years I was able to spend with this thing. I've held many hands, felt the skin of loved ones, picked up spiders to take outside, wiped away tears, pet dogs, and picked dandelions, played piano, guitar, ukulele, an act I'll never again get to experience. I always joke that my arm tried to kill me, but after looking at it on the table, seeing the scars it collected over the years, I realized it too was just a victim of this disease, and it made the ultimate sacrifice on my behalf. Cancer has taken a lot from me and still continues to, and it's uniquely difficult to say goodbye to a limb like this, but this experience has helped me process the finality of this situation. I'm grateful for the mortuary for being so accommodating of such an unconventional request. They treated her," she's referring to her arm as her, "with the same respect that they would with a full loved one, painted her nails and livened up her skin, I assume with makeup, gave her a pillow to rest on and a blanket to make her comfortable."
I wonder how much they charged for that.
I do too. Is that morbid as well?
Like, are we gonna our funeral homes gonna start carrying, packages for limbs?
Nobody is built with the understanding of how to navigate a situation this uniquely devastating, but I think I chose the right path. I'm infinitely grateful for my loved ones who are willing to go to my own funeral with me. I'm glad I was able to say both thank you and goodbye. I'm sorry this happened to us, but you served me well. Thanks for the good memories, the pain, and the joy.
Look, I guess we live in an age now where social media is such an ingrained part of people's existence that they don't even think about it. They don't even think about how the act of filming it and turning it into content might seem egregious to others, because for a lot of people, creating content, however over the top and produced it is just a part of showing your world to everyone else. So they might not catch it there. It does seem kind of gross to me, but I would wager that as you go down the line to younger and younger generations, they're not going to feel that way. Like, eventually the age of people who feel that way might die out.
Like there's no reflex other than to share.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah, I mean, with this example, I understand where she's coming from, at least.
There's a logic behind doing it. But with
the first example of the rib removal, that's literally just
vanity.
Just vanity and attention seeking through and through.
Don't they do similar things for mothers who lose children in childbirth? Not this
similar
type of
things
thing.
like what?
Like throwing a funeral for a baby that was never actually born.
Sure.
Yeah. I know that that's not a one-to-one comparison. I'm just trying to think of something.
It's a little bit weird to anthropomorphize your arm and call it her and dress it up and talk to it. But I guess if that's the coping mechanism she needed, I can't judge because I don't know what it's like. However, the decision to share it with millions of people online is what I find suspect. Yeah. And then I also was reminded of Another example of this, there are endless examples, to be totally honest. Just another example of the insanity of TikTok and the just absolute gore that gets shared on the app.
I don't even want to show this. I don't.
This happened.
I know, but I don't want to show it.
Are you afraid of the YouTube TOS on this one?
I mean, the fact that they blurred it out just in the image part of it there just makes me want to do so. But do you want to explain to people what it was?
Yeah, so a woman transitioning to identify as male got an elective hysterectomy and then decided to show her disembodied uterus inside a jar of formaldehyde on TikTok. And I've even seen other examples of this practice where they make it into jewelry, cast it in resin, and make it a decoration in their home. It's sick. It really is.
It's weird.
And it's sick that people applaud that type of behavior as if it's like quirky and unique and
maybe
relatable.
to me it's not that it's sick, it's that it's shown as quirky. It's like, at least show it the reverence, like show it with the seriousness that it deserves. Not just be like, oh, LOL, so random. Here's my uterus.
Yeah, that's literally where it comes from, right?
Yeah.
It is just shameless attention seeking.
Yeah. Clitorum says, so is this less YouTube friendly than a cum walk, Brett?
It actually is less YouTube friendly.
Yeah.
You can see everything.
Yeah.
There is no censor on the video. So
I'm
I
not
guess
showing that.
If we're gonna be careful today, we're not going to even show that example. But I can't.
Is the video really
unsee
going to
it.
be watched by a bunch of people who are like, well, I was going to watch it, and then he wouldn't show me the the uterus.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
But I'm never going to unsee that.
Yeah.
Sadly.
I like the number one thing here is like there is this indescribable need from the new generation to share. It's kind of like, if I don't show it to the world, how will everyone know that it happened? Right? Like I was, for instance, when I was talking about like when I was driving down the mountain yesterday in the horrible, in the snow and ice, and I'm like, it would be hilarious to have a video because it just looks so awful and dangerous. But it's at the same time.
Did you
like,
actually record?
No. But I'm saying you just know that there are kids that are going to feel that way and try to do stuff like that because they feel like if I don't share it, nobody will know. That's
like what a lot of these adrenaline junkies do on social media, like filming themselves hanging off of buildings and stuff.
I mean, okay, so if we're talking about like parkour or skateboarding or any of these action sports, that makes sense to me. You go out with a set goal in mind, and the filming of the trick is literally the entire point.
Sometimes it's not a trick, though. Sometimes they just find a cliff and hang off of it.
I mean, to them, then that's what it
views.
is. It's how long did they, like, I'm sure that there's logic to it. It's like, I worked on my grip strength and I can hold it for this long.
I forget his name, but there was that one free climber who had a documentary made about him. Do you remember that guy? He like climbs without any attachments.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Yeah, and like he always, like says goodbyes to his family members before he does this, but they actually scanned his brain and they found that he just doesn't have
the fear gene or whatever.
Fear receptors. Like they just don't work for whatever reason. And there's actually, I just learned there's a form of toxoplasmosis.
Yeah.
That you can get from a cat, and it will actually just one shot your fear receptors for good. And
maybe mocha would be good
end
for
up
something.
becoming adrenaline junkies afterwards.
Maybe I need to get how does
do you feel like you're an adrenaline junkie, or are you
get
just into your sport?
No, with what we did was always calculated risk and finding the limit to what you were capable of and then pushing yourself just past that limit. There were definitely people involved who just didn't have a sense of like what their abilities were and would push it too far and either get hurt or get lucky. But there's a difference between controlled risk, in which you work your way up to a certain skill level along the way, and then after a certain age, it's not about risk and it's more about a creative approach to the sport, which is really only interesting to the people within that sport because it's not about how dangerous it is. It's about how technically proficient you are. So it won't actually translate on camera to anyone unless they actually do what you're doing. It's hard to explain, but it's more about nuance and minutia than it is about risk. But we've always known that that doesn't really translate to people outside the sport because they won't understand why it was difficult.
Yeah.
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 But yes, gross. All of it gross.
Country star John Rich just sang the praises of Carrie Underwood for performing America the Beautiful at Trump's inauguration ceremony. And at the same time, he used this opportunity to call out a lot of people in the country music industry who have remained decidedly silent about their support for Trump and their politics in general. There are a lot of ways that we can pick this apart. I find it interesting because so many people on the right say if you're an entertainer, you should just stay quiet about politics. We don't care about your political takes at all. But there are others on the right who say that you have a responsibility to speak out about your political views if you're a Trump supporter, especially in this day and age now that the stakes are lower, given that he's already won. So I want to watch his video that he posted on X.
Okay.
And we're going to give our reactions. He's also tagged Brad Paisley and Garth Brooks in this post.
There's a 20 there before we get started.
From Just 'Cause I'm Free. Greetings from South Louisiana, where we have found your weather down here. Please come take it back. We don't want your foot of snow, or you can send booze. Either will do.
Yeah, Valiant Renegade, who I mentioned earlier, he was outside taking video of the snow.
The
out
polar
there.
vortex
The polar
has reached
vortex.
Louisiana. That's terrifying.
All right, so let's...
John Rich said, hey, big-time conservative country artists, it's time to grow a pair.
All right, let's listen to this video.
A post calling out conservative country artists that have yet to come forward and support President Trump, and that was built off the fact that Carrie Underwood has agreed to sing America the Beautiful at the inauguration, which I think is an incredible thing, and her statement actually was absolutely beautiful, that we want to bring people together and we want to move into this next 4 years and succeed as a nation. I mean, incredible. I'm a bigger fan than I ever was of Carrie Underwood after seeing her do that. But it got me thinking about country artists that
that always makes me weird. Not for him, but for me. Like, I don't want to, like, this goes mostly for actors, but I don't want to like someone's art and then find that somehow I end up liking it more because they tend to have views that I agree with. Like, that makes me feel gross.
But that's a good instinct to have so that you can still judge it objectively.
The point for me is, like, I would rather not know any of it, but in general, I can set it aside, but I don't want to have to think about how, this art was okay, but now that I know that this guy agrees with me, maybe it was better than okay.
Post Malone's new song was okay, but since I know that he's super into guns and the Second Amendment, I'm going to listen to it on repeat. That does seem disingenuous just to yourself. Like, you need to have integrity with yourself and what your tastes actually are.
Yep. All right.
I know for a fact are real conservatives and support Trump that have yet to be heard from. And I started to compare...
Why do they have to be heard from?
Well, I mean, theoretically, it would make more of a difference if you said something and spoke out about your support for Trump before the election.
But not everybody cares. You can support a politician and just not care enough to speak, is all I'm saying.
I guess what he's saying is that they should care more about making a difference than they care about mitigating risks for their own public perception.
All right. Again, I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying that I think that this take here is his approach is very single-minded and it's worked well for him, and that's great. But not everybody's going to have the same approach to their career.
It also is just ironic seeing the background of his video. He's filming this in his mansion with all of his awards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel like they don't have the same security to speak out.
Yeah.
As they say.
Compare that to some of the artists in country music who have supported the other side. And I started wondering, well, why is it that Garth Brooks has enough conviction about Joe Biden, for instance, that he would sing at Joe Biden's inauguration, that he would walk up and give Hillary Clinton a big old bear hug, And so,
I can actually answer that question for him, which is that principled conservatives tend to be the ones who say, "Oh, I will like you no matter what." You know, they can agree to disagree. So they can listen to his music and disregard the fact that they agree with him, that they disagree with him politically. When you do it the other direction, it is not usually the case where, look, they were like, some guy yesterday was like, I just deleted my entire Snoop Dogg discography because he played at the crypto ball.
Yeah.
So
can you imagine being that guy?
It's like, look,
You're like
I love the song "Murder Was the Case," but now I can't listen to it because he played with Rick Ross at the crypto ball.
The crypto ball. It's
stand out
so
there
funny.
and sing. Why is it that Brad Paisley will come to Nashville with Jill Biden and set up a COVID vaccine site and tell everybody to do their patriotic duty and show up and get your COVID vaccine, and I'll play you some music, and the first lady is here, and come on down in here to Nashville. I mean, I don't agree with those guys, but at least they had enough conviction to step forward and make those moves. Brad was all about the vaccines with Jill. Garth was all about Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton and everybody else. So where are the big time A-listers that are conservative in country music? Where are they? Now, Aldine.
What do you think the answer to that? Do you think it's just that maybe like they just don't care about talking about politics, or do you think it's about fear of what would happen if they spoke out? Look, he's not wrong. Carrie Underwood got a lot of blowback from people who are already fans of hers, saying that now suddenly they're not fans of hers. One of the hardest things that I imagine it is for the artists here is like they have to kind of willingly allow themselves to then fall back into the arms of the conservative movement and hope that they're going to continue to buy their product for the foreseeable future.
Well, the more commercial success you have, the wider of an appeal you have to maintain. For Carrie Underwood, that's certainly true, and that's why I saw so many women specifically in her comments saying that they were heartbroken over her decision and that they had no idea she was a Trumpy or whatever. There is a very small sliver of people that are going to even say that, let alone act on their heartbreak over your political takes.
Yeah.
But it comes down to social media literacy, right? Because you need to understand that the type of people who comment on things are a very small portion of the population.
Yeah.
And the people who comment on things saying that they're going to boycott you is an even smaller portion.
Yeah.
So it also is just about having some perspective. Yeah. And then with his comment about Brad Paisley coming out to support the vaccine and speaking out about that, even Brad Paisley knew to craft that narrative in a way that was amenable to the people that listen to his music. Because he said that getting the vaccine is the most patriotic thing that you can do as an American.
That was as dystopian as you can imagine. It's like, you know what's patriotic? Getting a shot of an untested drug.
That's not the same type of rhetoric that you were hearing, though, from a lot of other entertainers in regard to promoting the vaccine.
I guess, look.
So he knew that he needed to pander to a very specific group of people.
John Rich is an extremely talented dude, and he's an extremely outspoken dude, but very, very few people choose the extremely outspoken route. Even when we talk about, and we're going to talk about it when we discuss the inauguration stuff. Look, it's a lot of Hollywood, but it gets whittled down to like the same ones every time. It's Mark Hamill. It's who else? It's Mark Hamill,
Stephen
King. It's the same people every time. Rob Reiner, Mark Ruffalo. It's the same people. Only a certain amount of people choose to really, really speak out. But when you choose to be extremely outspoken, whether it's left or right, you're then going to kind of shrink your audience. When you're extremely outspoken about left-wing beliefs, it does not shrink your audience as much as it risks doing it when you're extremely outspoken about right-wing beliefs. Now, is that fair or good? No, not really. I guess not. But fair or good doesn't really factor into it. What factors into it is people have to have an opinion on what they think that their career path is going to be. He's a very successful dude. He understands that. And a lot of artists, they don't care enough about politics outside of maybe, you know, when you're having beers with the bros talking about who you support or who you like. That doesn't mean that they want to get out and talk about it all the time on Twitter or make it part of their brand.
There's nothing morally compromised about recognizing that something or speaking about a certain issue isn't your calling.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time with all of these issues, I just like, there's a 1,000 things a day that I see on Twitter where I'm like, look, I don't know enough about that to, I could certainly come up with something funny about it, but that doesn't mean I'm right. So why would I have anything to say about it?
We have a 20 from Carnell. Why is it that outspoken voices tend to down talk others for jumping onto a bandwagon later, but all the same outspoken voices want to call forth for people to jump on their collective side when they plead others to? Wait, I'm having a hard time
The
understanding.
second part is confusing me. I feel very dumb right now.
I feel really dumb right now too. They talk down to others for jumping onto a bandwagon, but okay, so it's like hypocritical that they
want
talking
you
down
to...
on the people on the opposite bandwagon, but they're talking down to other people for not joining their bandwagon.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of a Trump bandwagon, if we're being completely honest. Some people who would have never joined the Trump movement.
Does that make them hipsters?
Because it's frankly trendy to do so right now.
Yep.
And also way lower stakes than it would have been in 2016 or
Way
even
lower stakes.
2020 as well. Travis Tritt responded to John Rich's video and he said, "I'm so glad to hear someone finally talk about this. If you're a Trump supporter in our industry, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Don't be afraid to speak up for what you believe in."
I guess
this
that
is
makes me...
kind of the tunnel vision that's being demonstrated here. A lot of people who don't speak out are not staying silent out of fear. They're staying silent out of pure disinterest in getting involved.
Or business sense, right?
Or business,
like there is nothing wrong with
But for the
that.
most part, I'm guessing if they really felt strongly about it, they would say something.
Yeah.
If you're just disinterested in the political arena, I don't hold it against you for not speaking out and being a pundit.
Yeah.
Your talents are probably better used in music anyway, if you're a musician, right? And it's nothing too groundbreaking anymore to come out as a Trump supporter.
Yep.
Maybe that would have been groundbreaking and a historic moment if you did that like 8 years ago. But that time has passed.
Yep. Yeah, I just, it's interesting, but I really don't see an issue with an artist choosing not to speak out. Like, again, if you know that they are, that's because they told you that in confidence and it's their private life and they're allowed to have that private life. There's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really felt dumb after that 20. I couldn't.
We have another 20 from Andrew Fay. Wearing aluminum foil when I say this, but do you think that's why when she's saying they had an equipment malfunction, she did do a dope recovery during the inauguration? Yeah, I did see some headlines about a technical glitch regarding Carrie Underwood's performance.
Yeah, there was no vocal backing.
Yeah, but she told the person, like, I can just sing it a cappella.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. That was a cool moment.
That makes for memorable moments that you can't plan.
But there was no conspiracy about it. I think you are tinfoil hatting a little bit if you think there was a conspiracy to give a technical malfunction to her performance.
All conspiracy, all tinfoil hat today. You know, there could have been some,
they decided at the very last minute
like
that it was going to be moved indoors instead of holding the ceremony outdoors.
There was just some sound engineer who was just firmly Harris Walls 2024 who's just like, not on my watch.
Yeah. I don't really see it though, personally.
Let's do some super chats. Oh no, gosh, we're still in the intro here. Gosh,
Yeah.
hold on, guys.
Where have you been?
I have lost my train of thought. All right, what would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
The cringe is pretty bad, so I feel like we should start with that.
Okay. All right.
It's a JoJo Siwa cringe.
Well, it's always bad. All right, guys, here we go.
So, just for context, by the way, JoJo Siwa just put out a new song called Iced Coffee. And so she's talking about all of the innuendos in her song.
You know like the cinnamon toast crunch iced coffee that like Alex Clark took a picture of is like, it basically is like, it's not even real food. Like I had one the other day. I'm happy to report that it's probably the most unhealthy thing I've ever drank because somehow it literally tasted exactly like cinnamon toast crunch. And I feel like you can't replicate that in liquid form without some serious chemical creation that's probably going to kill me quickly.
You just got one-shotted by the GMOs.
Pretty sure I did.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Line in the song that's grinding. I like the way you grind on my bean, and how he made a joke saying, "I bet the women love that a latte," because the song's like all coffee references.
Get it?
Oh, okay.
And that genuinely stuck with me for a second.
What did you do when he said that?
I laughed so hard.
How did you think of that?
Iced Coffee is her new hit.
Oh,
song.
cool.
And then she does. It's a reference where she likes to grind it on her bean.
Grind the coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Or I understand that it's a euphemism, but I didn't understand what you. Sorry.
Explain to him. You wrote it.
So it's like a bean.
I don't know if I can keep going.
No, you gotta keep going.
Chat, help
That's
me
the
out here, man.
rules.
Bean could be considered a female, pleasure point.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I like the way you grind on my bean, like talking about somebody, like, kind of making it feel good.
True.
Yeah.
I think I get that makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
The guy like sounded like he was about to cry, and honestly, I can't blame him.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, that's her new hit song.
Howie Mandel, what are you doing?
Yeah, whatever happened with his career? Is this what he's up to now? He's like
Guess so.
mentoring JoJo Siwa.
All right, let's move on. Cute of the day.
We do have cute of the day to recover from
This
that.
is from Eve Apologist. It says, meet Tucker.
Very cute.
Oh, that is a very cute puppy.
Aw, he found the perfect place.
He is.
Very cute.
Okay, all right. I got to do. I've been doing one a day. I'm doing two just to get rid of the JoJo Siwa.
We need some
of it
extra
all.
strength cute.
Yeah.
For that one.
From Roger, it says, my wife's cat Mochi hiding in the towel closet and peeking out. Yes, he's right there.
Aw,
He's
very
hiding.
cute.
That's actually what Olivia calls Mocha. Mochi. Doesn't really call
Really?
Mocha Mocha. Mocha gets called Mocha when you're mad at Mocha. Otherwise, Mochi.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and get started now that my brain has been scrambled from all of that.
Since the Trump inauguration ceremony, I was expecting an avalanche of celebrity cringe where they're just having public meltdowns about living in Trump's America. It has been surprisingly understated, but there are still some highlights that I felt were necessary to go over with y'all on the show. But this was the first one that surprised me. Kim Kardashian posted a photo of Melania Trump from the inauguration on her Instagram story with zero explanation and zero context. And I can only assume that that is a tacit endorsement of the incoming administration. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, especially without any type of explanation as to what it's supposed to mean.
We have another 20 from Just Because I'm Free. Mary's going to have to start paying us with these cringe of the day, out here torturing us. Thanks for saving us, Brett.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't really save you from the cringe. We still had to suffer through it.
Yeah, I let it play.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not hard to believe for me that Kim is a Trump supporter, that she at least voted for Trump once. Especially because she's friends with Ivanka.
Well, she's kind of a great
example. She got
example.
a lot of backlash for that.
But she also worked with the Biden administration on prison reform as well. So she's a great example of somebody who might lean one way but is willing to work with both parties if they have a goal that they're working towards.
She's independent, but she leans Kim.
She's a true independent.
She only supports herself. But, I think she was posting this more so to just say, like, Melania Slade.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's the thing. Without context, I was surprised it didn't say she ate or something.
She ate and left no crumbs.
Well, you could scoop the crumbs up in that hat.
Yeah, that hat was certainly a look.
How do you feel?
It's not that I don't like it. I like the message it's sending, but I personally wouldn't wear something like that.
Okay.
Melania does look good no matter what she wears. But yeah, regarding Carrie Underwood's performance and the backlash that she received for showing up at the inauguration, Ariana Grande joined the pile-on She liked a post throwing shade at Carrie Underwood's performance because I believe that there were a couple moments where she kind of was off key. And Ariana Grande, of course, is the queen of vocals. So she liked this post that said, Kamala Harris evoking Coco Monteith's Girl Find the Note watching Carrie Underwood at today's chilling inauguration.
See, I like the idea that she did it because she's actually just dunking on her singing and it has nothing to do with politics. That's the world I
wish
want.
it were.
The world I want to live in is where she's being a mean girl because she's not singing up to her standards and it has nothing to do with her political views.
I really wish it were just competition between them as singers, but it's unfortunately,
Like, imagine if it had
she
been
would have
'cause-
never said that about someone performing at a Biden inauguration. She would have never posted something like that. We have another 20 from Ben. Did you hear the latest Destiny drama? Pixie and other girls he's been with had their nudes leaked and Destiny getting sued. Not so erudite has been the Ghislaine Maxwell. Pixie threatening unaliving if Destiny doesn't pay her $1 million.
You should ask this on Thursday when Phil is here.
I have not kept up with any of that at all, but it sounds insane and I'm sure predictable for Destiny's personal life and the mess that is. I also saw that Justin Bieber shared a post on Inauguration Day that was not related to Inauguration Day at all. It happened to fall on the same day as MLK Day. So Justin's post read, "Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that. Love you. Happy MLK Day."
I mean, it's not as funny as the FBI posting about Martin Luther King on Martin Luther King Day, which is the ultimate in irony.
Well, do you think that he posted this as an implicit shot at Trump?
I guess.
Because Trump represents hate?
Because of the quote, I guess.
A lot of people also said they found it deeply offensive that the inauguration would take place on MLK Day.
I mean, there's no choice of that, right? Does it always happen on January 20th?
I thought so.
Yeah, so. But
I believe, like, they found it offensive that they wouldn't change the date because Trump is the one getting inaugurated. So it does feel like he was throwing shade at Trump in that post.
Well, I mean, I did see also that Justin Bieber supposedly got hacked and went and unfollowed his own wife on Instagram. If in fact I am to believe that this is real and he actually did get hacked, maybe the most diabolical thing in history is to get into a mega celebrity's phone and do nothing but make him fight with his wife.
Just for context, though, the other people that Justin has recently unfollowed or blocked on Instagram, those were totally legit.
But no, so the other thing is he also supposedly, they unfollowed his wife and Selena Gomez, his ex, and there's something really funny about doing this. So now he has to, Haley's going to be looking at him, she's like, oh, you going to refollow her?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just causing problems for the dude.
Yeah, the hacker thought in 5D chess. But yeah, for the rest of it, it's the usual suspects. First of all, Mark Hamill posted, "From midnight tonight until next Saturday morning, there's no TV, no internet, no social media, no nothing for me. Symbolic protest is better than none at all. Hashtag 5-day blackout."
Get sent from his Blue Sky account, because when you're on Blue Sky, it's always Twitter in 2017.
And you know what? Mark Hamill can do without social media for the rest of his life, as far as we're concerned.
I did
nothing of value would be
there
lost.
Is something almost, maybe it's just my brain being broken, but there's almost endearing about the level of like boomerism in his dislike. I did like this one from The Daily Show. "No one out pizzas the Hut."
Yeah, that was funny. They kind of got Melania with that one. Her hat just looks like the Pizza Hut roof.
It does.
It does.
It
does. You also said that she looked like
the Hamburglar.
The Hamburglar, and then like what character from Mortal Kombat?
Oh, Kung Lao. She's got the same hat as Kung Lao.
Other people said the Undertaker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So whenever the Undertaker would come to the ring, it was like a big thing where he would wear the brimmed hat, the billed hat. And whenever he would take it off, it fit so tightly to his head that when WWE went HD, you could see the mark on his head, the red line.
I don't care. She's still slayed.
Yeah, no, she looks, that's a pretty iconic look right there.
Stephen King tweeted, or sorry, he didn't tweet. He was on Blue Sky.
They're all
what
on
do they
Blue
do?
Sky now.
They Blue Sky?
They sky it.
He skied.
They bluied it.
Saying, Donald Trump will be indoors for the inauguration with his billionaire pals. His core supporters will be left outside in the cold. Think about that. I also heard that that decision was made for security reasons.
Yes.
Which makes sense to me. And they were trying to insist on doing it outdoors, but Trump was... He basically said publicly that they were moving it indoors, so they had to move it.
In the chat, somebody, I did read this as well. JGW said someone mentioned that she wore the wide brim hat so that Trump couldn't kiss her. There's like this weird...
There was an awkward air kiss.
Yes, but there is this like real narrative where they desperately want her to hate him.
Yeah.
Like they desperately want her to hate him.
It's a lot of Americans not understanding the disposition of an Eastern European ice queen, and that's just the way she is. I'm sure she deeply loves him. She's just not, you know, giving golden retriever energy. Ice-T tweeted, if a felon can become president, why keep it on job applications? Just saying.
Well, I mean,
does he make a valid point?
That's a very interesting question because it is one of the jobs. You know, there are no, there's very few requirements in the way of what you have to actually do to become president.
Well,
outside
both of us are felons, so.
Yes. Wait, what? I'm so confused.
No, but you don't really have to do background checks to become a podcaster.
No. I mean, some might say that you need to. I watched this, I was watching a compilation of it's like the worst videos of women giving women advice and the worst examples of men giving men advice. And it's like we might need a background check to buy yourself a microphone in the future.
What was the worst advice that men gave to other men?
I can't even. I'll send you the link later.
Dudes, cry more.
Post
videos of yourself.
It was
crying.
Some of them were like manosphere dudes, and some of them were the women giving men advice would be that.
Yeah,
women giving men advice would be horrible advice to just cry at will in front of your girlfriend or wife. I'm sure she won't be affected by that at all.
Again, I was expecting far more meltdown behavior, but I feel like because of the TikTok shutdown, that was shut down as well. One tweet said, not to be Barbie, but how do you guys cope with the growing sense of dread that the world is legitimately going to end in our lifetimes and everything you know and love will collapse into chaos?
That is your algorithm affecting you.
Yeah.
That is your algorithm affecting you.
Don't ask me how I cope with that because I don't have that sense of dread at all. That is not normal. I also wanted to show an unhinged TikToker saying he's now declaring war on Republicans.
Hello, my name is Scarlett Kelly, and I am officially declaring war on the Republican Party. If you are a Republican on TikTok and you want to interact with me, you deserve to die. You deserve to be shot. You deserve whatever suffering could possibly come to you. If you are a Republican and try to start any of that kind of nonsense with me in person, you will lose your life. This is war. I am not joking. It's done. You are not an American anymore. You're out. You're off the list. You've been naughty. Like, come on.
Maybe don't go on the big guy rant and then use the term naughty. It kind of kills the vibe. I mean, it kind of kills the vibe.
I'm shaking in my boots. Yes. Truly.
We're going to start giving you the coal in the form of massive stones on top of a slab of wood on top of you.
Okay, then. That was nice.
Love the little friendly smile at the end.
He must be great at parties.
Yeah. And lastly, the girl that you said looks like if someone puked out Billie Eilish.
Look, that was said in private. I wasn't trying to be mean. It was just
I think
first observation.
You're incredible at insults.
Mary said I was great at insults, which
you really are.
I might have to put that in my Twitter bio.
You're incredibly creative when it comes to insults.
I don't do that on here because I try not to be rude to people. Okay, here we go.
I think it's hilarious.
Everything feels really out of control and scary, and I'm really anxious. Elon Musk, did a Nazi salute for some reason. That's so scary. And Donald Trump's the president, and that's so scary. And he basically admitted to voter fraud, but we're all just kind of glossing over that. Also, if you look up, this is random, if you look up right now in the search bar on TikTok, the Taylor Swift song, The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, it's all, for me at least, I'll tell you, it's all replaced with woman, ? like, what is about to happen? Like, I have, like, such, like, impending doom and fear. And, like, what is about to happen? So, I'm just laughing because I'm scared. Like,
Wait, I don't get it. What does the song, the gender being switched, have to do with anything?
Because now misogyny reigns.
Oh, it's legal now?
Yeah.
I don't... why, like, I'm not understanding either why Elon Musk is involved. Isn't he not American? Like, what is fucking going on? What is happening?
Okay. All right. Well,
genuinely, like, I mean this with no malice. You should go, hug your loved ones. And as they say, go outside, touch the grass, ground yourself in reality. Because you need to stop doom scrolling if this is how you feel.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's there's a certain type of tunnel vision that you get when you get really, really attached to your phone in bad news, where I literally picture it as like your eyesight goes like this and you start not being able to see anything but what's being shown to you on your screen. But then if you go outside and look around, it doesn't match reality in any way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was still though not as bad as 2016.
No, not nearly as bad.
Not nearly as bad as 2016.
And the fallout after 2020 was far more pronounced than what we're seeing now. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think it's nice that things have quieted down?
Yes, I do. I mean, I would rather people just not have anything to say. If I'm being completely honest, selfishly, I watched the inauguration in bits and pieces online, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Can we go on about like I was like looking through all of the executive orders that got signed, and I'm like, I just can't bring.
A lot of it is symbolic, and that's what some people don't understand. Some people who support those orders and others who completely oppose them don't understand. A lot of it is purely symbolic.
Do laugh at the amount of, like, the one thing that seems to be consistently misunderstood from people that are really, really against him is the idea of legal immigration versus illegal immigration, because they always try to use his wife as some type of gotcha,
or his Germanic last name.
Yeah, well, and they like not understanding that she is here legally, and the idea of a child being born here to an American father and a legal immigrant isn't the same thing as birthright citizenship for somebody who is here illegally.
Right.
Which, look, I'm not even going to share my opinions on such a thing other than to say at least have the accurate information if you're going to try and dunk on them for that. It's just, I would rather it cool down, which is odd because, like, in this space, you don't benefit from it being calm. You benefit from tensions being high. That's how people make money in this space. I don't want, like, I guess I don't care enough about that to want people to be on edge and fighting all the time. I would rather things be calmer.
I think that they just saw the new presidential portrait for Trump and they thought, like, oh, he looks like a guy who wants to rip my throat out.
Well, I mean, that was done on purpose,
and
right?
that was an aesthetic choice.
That was absolutely done on purpose, right?
But then you listen to a Trump speech and he's literally completely harmless, almost to a point where it's annoying. Like, he talks like a grandpa who's telling you the same stories over and over again by the hearth.
I do need your opinion on this, and it's only second, like, tangentially connected. What did you think about the everybody was dunking on Obama for posting that picture with Michelle, and they said if I posted a picture of my wife looking like that, I would be
because it wasn't Michelle's birthday,
and it was the night before. The lighting was really horrible. It was like downdraft lighting and stuff. So
they said that that Barack looked great in the photo, and she definitely just didn't look as good. And it was that seemed pointed, but yeah, she also made the decision not to attend, which was definitely deliberate.
From all of them.
Yeah, to cast doubt on the whole thing.
I just, look, people, one of the biggest complaints people have is they believe in this, like, fake version of politics where somehow things were more amicable prior to 2016. And I don't really buy that was true. I mean, the far left called Bush a Nazi plenty in 2004. I actually contend that it's because back then the critique was actually smarter because the barrier to entry to really care about politics was higher. You had to look harder to do your research. You had to truly think about like what it meant to delve into politics back in the early 2000s, right?
There were no family members cutting each other out
of
their lives over voting for Bush. Like,
no, I'm talking about the actual. I'm talking about between the politicians, right? There's this idea that the politicians got along better. It's like, no, it's because it was basically a uniparty back then, and either way, American people were getting screwed.
Well, in a lot of ways, it still is. And I've said this before. I'll say it again. I will always wish Trump were the person they were afraid of. I really wish he were the guy that they're talking about, but that Trump doesn't exist.
And the sad thing is I wish that the people that have gotten away from me because of, and I'm not. It's not like I'm somebody who's like a big. I don't own any like MAGA merchandise or anything like that. I just take the guy for what he is and kind of just examine him on the merits of the stuff. Like one of the funniest things about it is if you look at a lot of those executive orders, you have to actually go get news sources from both sides to see what the other side thinks of that actual order. And I find that extremely fascinating, but I don't have strong opinions one way or the other. I wish that the people who really, really hate him could see him more in the light of somebody like me who can see him from the middle perspective to what I think he really is, which is what? Mild reformist at best. A theatrical but mild reformer.
If they saw him the way that I see him, they wouldn't be afraid.
What? The people I'm talking about would be afraid. Oh, yes. Okay, so I see what you're saying. Yes. If they saw him the way that you see him now, they wouldn't be afraid. If they saw him but what they see is how you wish he was.
Exactly.
And that's why they're afraid.
Yeah. The cognitive dissonance is crazy.
Yeah, it really is social media's fault that all of this is like that now, right? When
there are a lot of reasons, but that probably is the biggest one.
It is very, very annoying. I mean, it is kind of hard to imagine that you can take it seriously when they call somebody Hitler and then say we're going to peacefully transfer power. It's like, well, if you actually believed he was Hitler, you would be doing everything in your power to stop this, but you know that he's not. Therefore, you're being disingenuous. Therefore, F off.
Let's read some super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Taco Tuesday, Brett and Mary. I'm glad to see that Mary didn't turn into a Marysicle yesterday. The new dipping burritos at Taco Bell are mid. I am disappointed to hear that."
What is a dipping burrito? It's just like a smaller burrito that you dip?
I don't even know. I guess so. Yeah, I am going to try them myself regardless. And I nearly did freeze to death multiple times. It was bad.
Clitorum says Trump is a political Rorschach test. That's actually a really interesting concept. Yeah. Like
it's not a political test. It's really a test of your temperament.
That's what he's saying. He's saying a Rorschach test, meaning that like, you ask somebody, look at this, what do you see? Mm-hmm. And, depending on what their beliefs are.
The right has mommy issues and the left has daddy issues. And that's why all of this... Does that kind of follow? Because I think that makes perfect sense.
Because what does Phil always say is like every woman sees Trump see men as their dad or the president,
and they see the president as their dad. Yeah. DCNC said Brett and Kellen had a mini beef about TikTokers.
What was that about? What? I think it was that we were
beef?
We were focusing on different. Unless I'm missing a part of the conversation. Remember, like whenever I'm done with the show, it all just exits my brain immediately. I can't have beef because I can't remember what I said yesterday. But I vaguely remember that Kellen was more focused on the ban, and I was more focused on the addictive nature of social media, which I found fascinating. Talking about people going through, people needing TikTok methadone for the fact that they no longer had their drug of choice.
Yeah.
There's a 20 there. It's a name I haven't seen before.
From Frank Sato, I'm just going to say.
Is the J silent?
I'm guessing that it's silent. I don't know. Blue sky messages should be called BS's or past tense BS.
I BS. Oh, and I mentioned earlier, I said
I like that.
I called it blueying. I was at the store the other day. There's Bluey cereal. Whoever made it should never work again. It is it looks like mold.
Is it blue?
It's like, just do the next. I'll pull up a picture. It's literally, you look at it, it looks like moldy cereal.
Okay. I'm very curious.
Whoever
now.
allowed that to come to market.
Is it shaped like Bluey?
No, I think they're just regular.
Oh, that's such a lame gimmick. Shane H. Wilder said, I had a mortal enemy once. Well, I'm curious. Tell us who it is. Corey Anderson said, Kellen is no substitute for Mein Führer Mary.
Look at that.
Oh, that's not even blue. That's just
it's like bluish
some
green.
kind of discolored green.
It looks like it rotted.
Why isn't it blue? It's literally called Bluey cereal.
It's disgusting looking. That's all I'm saying. It's gross.
Yeah. Didn't I get you some kind of like weird limited edition cereal?
No, you got like it was like the cereal like snacks. Like it was like
what was that?
I don't know, but it was amazing. It was amazing though.
Ben said, Mary, you actually don't look that bad for once. Wow, thank you. Corey Anderson.
Mary's like, I'm out of here. Fuck you guys. do one more.
Corey Anderson said it should be illegal for women to be religious leaders. Is there anything that prompted this comment?
I have no idea.
I mean, if you ask the Bible, it's already not allowed, so.
All right, let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back. Time to talk.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, this was not one that I imagined we were going to talk about, but it makes sense.
Well, allow me to nerd out about fashion and its convergence with politics for a few minutes, if you don't mind, because I'm not the only one saying it. I believe that a sense of class and decorum has finally returned to the White House given Trump's inauguration. I saw many examples of this in his administration, his family. First one that stood out to me was Oscar de la Renta posting, basically gloating about dressing the Trump family as well as J.D. Vance's wife, Usha, for the inaugural events.
You'll have to inform me. Where is this company based? Like where? It's I mean, he's dead, right? Or whoever. Long ago.
Well, it's a fashion house.
It's a fashion house
named
now.
after the founder. I'm not sure of his nationality, but yeah, they were founded in 1965.
But not in America.
Yes. The interesting thing about it all to me is the way that Melania was essentially shunned by the fashion world. Melania was not allowed to grace the cover of Vogue the way that Michelle Obama was, or the way that Jill Biden was, which was a joke, especially given that she herself is a supermodel and that is her background, being in the fashion world. But the second that she was associated with the bad orange man, she was not allowed to be in that world anymore. And in fact, there were plenty of fashion designers who completely boycotted her and decided not to dress her because of her association with Trump.
Okay.
But yeah, Oscar de la Renta posted photos of Ivanka Trump wearing their custom dress for the inaugural candlelight dinner. And then they also posted photos of Usha Vance wearing their clothes at the inaugural ceremony. She looked really good in this, in my opinion. I like the pink. But in response to these posts, a lot of people called for a boycott of the brand, saying that this was their alignment with fascism.
Well, it's fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Dance break.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
X users not only slammed Ivanka's outfit, but also blasted Oscar de la Renta for endorsing fascism. One of the most well-liked comments beneath her photo stated, "Fascism, but make it fashion." Another added, "The big brands once again support evil in the name of higher profits, just like it happened during the rise of Nazis." That's a hop, skip, and a jump right there. Yeah. Another one wrote, "Bootlicking is never in season." Another one said, "Always have loved. Sad to be done with Oscar de la Renta. I don't support brands that support fascists." They don't need your support at all. Yeah. But, you know, I find it interesting that this call for boycott happened in such a pronounced way, because I remember that back in 2017, Melania wore this very Jackie O inspired outfit that was this powder blue coat and a pillbox hat. She looked like Jackie Kennedy embodied in that on that day, and you can see it in this photo. This was a Ralph Lauren outfit, and Ralph Lauren at the time also faced a boycott for dressing her, which is why in a domino effect, she ended up getting boycotted by a whole lot of designers. But yeah, here were some of the takes. Boycott Ralph Lauren became a trending hashtag on social media, with detractors weighing in on their decision. Ralph Lauren even commented on this, saying, "We immediately started getting complaints about Melania Trump wearing our label and people using the hashtag boycott Ralph Lauren." But there was no going back on the decision at that point. I see a huge difference in the aesthetic between her outfit for the first inauguration and the one that she just wore. And it sends a message that basically it more or less means F you.
Is the reason for this mostly because that they get when they say they dressed her, that means that the clothes are provided for her?
Yes.
Meaning that
or if they custom made
it's
something.
seen as signing off for it because she didn't buy it herself. They either provided it or it was custom made.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So they're facing boycotts as well. I think that this just means for Melania, when she's wearing this hat that covers her eyes and she looks very closed off. She's not entertaining the press anymore. Yeah. That's how I feel about it. And as dorky as it sounds to say that fashion is political, that is the reality. That is true. There is a political statement being made to the media in what she's wearing.
I did see, was it Styx Hexenhammer pointed out that Trump wore like a royal purple tie.
The tie?
Yeah. And that's...
Well, what is that supposed to symbolize then?
He said it was a very point... is that supposed to be something about political dynasty? I don't know. But is he never leaving office now? Put your tinfoil hats on, guys.
Trump 2028?
Yep.
Because of the purple tie?
Because of the purple tie?
Yeah. I think that people definitively voted in favor of beauty and class and elegance and against ugliness.
It's just funny too because what did Biden issue like after his 8,000 pardons? He pardoned like his whole family, which is something that they said that Trump would do for his family. But you know, his kids have all had to live like beyond above board because they're not given any quarter by the media or the public that hates them.
Well, speaking of the first kids, there is no greater contrast than that between Ella Emhoff, the stepdaughter of Kamala Harris, and Ivanka Trump in these photos. If you're listening rather than watching, count yourself lucky because you didn't have to see Ella Emhoff's crochet bikini and armpit hair.
I did not notice that until I made the picture bigger. I hate you so much for making me look at that.
She also has a tattoo of a cow on her arm. Okay. Didn't see that before. That's kind of a strange choice.
I only made people look at that for like a quarter of a second and then I got it off the screen.
She looks like every mass Bushwick citizen.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like a LARP. You're LARPing as someone who has 7 roommates in Bushwick when you actually belong to a political dynasty
But
family.
you drink nothing but the highest priced imported beers.
And that's what I've always loved about Trump is that he doesn't care about seeming relatable. He just is relatable.
Yep. I mean,
he's always had such ostentatious appearance and lived in these like actual gilded castles and still somehow comes off as an everyman because he's not faking it.
Yep.
You know?
I've never been able to understand how I don't think that there is going to be another example of any politician outside of him that will ever be able to do the the photo op stunts that he did that don't. For instance, who was I listening to the other talking about, like, why does it work when Trump goes to work at McDonald's but Hillary carries some hot sauce and everyone dunks on her? Why does one work but the other doesn't? Because look, even if it's political bias, I don't think that no like leftist or liberal who likes Hillary Clinton is going to pretend like that's normal. They're just going to say like, I like her, so I'll ignore the cringe, right? But
Yeah.
most people will understand that when Trump does it, it just works. But there isn't another politician in the Republican Party that would be able to do that at all.
No.
None. Like I said, we like
Well,
a lot of people really like JD Vance as a politician. He's well spoken. He did great at the debate. But him in the donut shop was one of the most hilariously bad political photo ops I've ever seen. He should not try to be relatable. He looked like he'd never been in a donut shop in his life. But the thing is he actually is the person who grew up in a lower class and made it out. Grew up, poor, drug addicted mother, got himself to college, got a degree, joined the military. He is an example of actually pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. You don't need to pretend to know donuts.
Whereas Trump does not, he comes from the opposite of humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And yet seems to be far more down to earth than the rest of the politicians. Like, the difference is,
you wouldn't feel like you could say the wrong thing around it.
Like, you're bringing up the hot sauce thing with Hillary Clinton. She said that because she was trying to convince people that she actually listens to Beyonce in her free time. No one believes that. No one actually believes that.
The closest they've got is that Obama could at least make some people believe that he listens to the newest pop music these days.
Just barely.
Just barely. And it worked more when he was younger.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he can pull that off. And like I said, a lot of people won't give him the credit that he was an incredible he was incredible at the showman side of being a president. He was, and granted, he was protected at every corner by the media, but it's not the point.
The biggest fashion faux pas that I want to highlight, though, from the inauguration was Lauren Sanchez.
We did talk about this yesterday. As I said, I'm sure when Mark got home last night that him and his wife had a very pointed discussion. And she said, look, that statue you built for me outside in our backyard isn't going to cut it, Mark. I did laugh that when you looked up Mark Zuckerberg on Twitter yesterday, on X yesterday, the two things that come up in the search bar were Mark Zuckerberg and then under that, Mark Zuckerberg divorce.
The clip of Zuck staring at Lauren Sanchez's cleavage is going to live in infamy.
Yep.
But, it's not even his fault. That was like the most human thing he's ever done in his life.
It actually was the Turing test for Mark Zuckerberg. He has proved himself human.
That was the most human thing I've ever seen Mark Zuckerberg ever do.
And to be fair, the photographer caught it at literally the perfect moment. It was barely a glance. He moved his head up right away, and he knew right away that he was caught.
I know, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still gonna laugh at that. But yeah, Jeff Bezos was accompanied by his wife, Lauren Sanchez, to the inaugural ceremony, and she decided to wear a blazer with nothing underneath it but a lace bra. And that was just out on display for everyone to see on national television.
You guys should. There's a crazy AI video of like Lauren Sanchez where she just takes the top. Like, she's not naked, but she just takes the sport coat off. And then there's also the AI of Barron Trump, like 8 feet tall, going into the White House.
You reminded me of the insane, basically lingerie that she wore to the White House state dinner in 2021.
Yep.
She wore this like corset basically that was completely see-through.
You know what it is?
There's no occasion that calls for some decorum.
Yeah, well, they're not married too. They're like she's.
Oh, they're not even
No, they're not
married.
married. She's the fiance.
I wonder what the deciding factor will be for
No, but
Bezos.
you know what it is, right? Have you ever seen the photos of him from before Amazon got really big? He was doing well, but he had the receding hairline. He hadn't shaved his head yet.
Nerd.
He is a nerd. He can do all the HGH he wants. He can get in all the shape that he needs to get into. I don't think he's ever been able to escape that mindset that he can be like, no, you're not wearing that. He's never
right.
gonna tell her that, because he's gonna look in the mirror. He's gonna see Jeff Bezos in 1998 in the sweater vest, and she's also not poor. It's not like she was some destitute. She is not the waitress. No. She was wealthy beforehand. She just wasn't Jeff Bezos wealthy. And he could be like, Lauren, I don't think you should wear that. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Jeff.
Verbally smacks him. This tweet says, for a woman who always dresses like a prostitute to get attention, her tacky choice of clothing to steal attention from the Trump women, no one cared about her. Poor Lauren. She really gives off that same Meghan Markle vibe.
Jeff needs to be like, look, I'm going to take away your Prime shipping, free shipping, if you're not freaking, like, change.
I mean, even Meghan
no
Markle
2-day delivery
has a
for
little
you.
more class than that. Meghan Markle would never go out with her bra showing.
No.
This is another level. I mean,
yeah, but she wouldn't apologize for being a briefcase girl on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
I don't care how prudish it sounds. You should not be dressing like that at any sort of
government function.
I mean, what would you wear? Would she be wearing like pasties at the Pope's funeral? Like, what is the justification for this? What will be the limit for her? Like, when will you look yourself in the mirror and think, maybe I can't leave the house like this?
You know how he beats her? He beats her in this game is that when her, like, if like a family member dies, he wears like a muscle shirt to a family member's funeral. He wears like a tank top.
Look, you're right though. You can do all the HGH you want. You can hit the tanning bed.
You can be a billionaire.
You can literally be a billionaire, and inside your mind, you're still going to see yourself as a nerd who can't stand up to his woman. Sad. Very sad day for Jeff.
All right.
Pop Culture Junkie said, my Disney source says due to reshoots accommodating crappy test screenings that the Captain America budget with advertising is over $500 million.
Yeah, so all those numbers that I got from Valiant Renegade, that was all the before marketing. And I heard Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge make a really good point. He goes, this might be one of the few examples where any TV spot is just going to cost them money and it's not going to get people excited to go watch it. It might be better off just not promoting it and just releasing it. None of the TV spots have helped it. None of the trailers have really gotten anyone but me excited because I'm the corporate slop person who wants to consume all of the garbage. And excited isn't exactly what I would call myself for this movie. It's more like I'm going to go see it out of morbid curiosity. Plus, it's under 2 hours.
You didn't end up seeing Quantumania.
No.
I actually saw that without you, which I deeply regret.
Yeah. I was glad I didn't, though.
Terrible.
I was glad I didn't, though.
Gordon Shumway said, do you think a bunch of videos will be made for white people not to watch Captain America on opening weekend like Black Panther?
No.
I think that would be an even bigger sentence.
No, because, look, Black Panther, the character, the idea of Wakanda, it was tied in a lot of ways to racial identity. And that has been done a little bit with Captain America Brave New World because of the fact that Sam Wilson is black and Bucky is white and obviously Steve Rogers is white. But it's not in the same way. It isn't the same thing. I don't think so.
Well, they were saying that so that, like, they were telling white people not to go so they could save seats.
Yeah, because they wanted a safe space in opening weekend for away from white people. That's crazy. I mean, that would be.
I tried to block that out.
Yeah,
that happened.
I mean, anybody doing that, like if a white person did that for a movie they were releasing, they'd be insane too. It would be stupid.
Obviously, yeah, that would never fly. Corey Anderson said, "Ben, bite your tongue or the gulag with you."
To the gulag with you.
Can everyone just get along?
They should get along. Do 2 more.
Pop Culture Junkie said Deadpool and Wolverine budget minus advertising $200 million.
$200 million for that movie, perfectly reasonable. It was always going to make its money back. Yeah. Like, I would like to see them get the budgets down on those movies. Like I said, 2023 was a great year to show you, like, 4 of the top 10 movies all had a budget of $100 million. I think $100 million for a big budget movie is plenty a lot of the time. For instance, Christopher Nolan's next movie, The Odyssey, is going to be his biggest budget ever for a film. It's gonna require a lot of CGI, and he's normally a practical effects guy, or more so. I don't remember. In fact, I would like to know what was the budget on Tenet. Was $205 million, so it's going to be even higher for the Odyssey.
I was more shocked to find out that it was Tom Holland. Or wait, did I get it all mixed up?
No, he
was
is
it Tom Holland playing Odysseus?
I think so. 250 million.
He's
for
like
the
way
Odyssey.
too young. Isn't he like way too young for that role?
Let's see if he's
At least that's my thought. What?
I'm looking to see if that's who he's playing.
They said he has the starring role.
Matt Roll is Odysseus. Matt Damon is Odysseus. Tom Holland as his son.
Oh, okay. I thought that made so much more sense. Okay, I'm glad, because that made zero sense on
There was
first
a whole like discourse over the holidays about people dunking on people for not knowing what the Odyssey was.
Who's Penelope? I want to know who's playing his wife.
Anne Hathaway.
Interesting.
Zendaya as Athena.
You know what? I think I'm gonna go see it. Just
Lupita
sounds interesting.
Lupita Nyong'o as Calypso, and Robert Pattinson as Poseidon.
Interesting.
Yep.
Shane H. Wilder said, "How was she allowed to keep the ribs? Sounds like bio waste. Also, the surgery was only $17K. That sounds cheap AF. The metal plate in my arm was $50K."
Yep.
Well, I guess it's just cheaper if you're doing elective cosmetic surgery instead of something medical that you actually need.
Do they like do they like just like detail, like do they do something to the ribs, like shine it with ultraviolet light and decontaminate it or something?
I don't even know. It didn't look decontaminated.
Aaron Howell in the chat says Tenet was cool, confusing, but I got it with science background. See, here's the thing. With that movie, I just turned my brain off and said, cool image, go backwards. Cool character, say cool line. And that was enough for me. I said, was it like Anna was here? And she's like, I hated that movie. I'm like, like everything. She's like, I hated that. I'm like, oh, I love that movie.
Remember that Soul Cycle video? About
Oh, yeah.
She was like, I just watched that movie.
It was like a Peloton class.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't Soul Cycle. It was the Peloton class.
And they were doing the song that was from the trailer. And they're like, what the? She's like, you remember this song? It was from that movie from Christopher Nolan. What the fuck was that movie about?
She's like getting a workout in how angry she's getting, just remembering Tenet. Yeah. Loved that.
Do one more.
Dr. Freakhoff said, "Why are we still here just to suffer every night? I can feel my arm, even my fingers, the body I've lost, the comrades I've lost, won't stop hurting. It's like they're all still there." I assume that's a reference to something.
So do I. Let's hold off on the rest and we'll come back.
Okay. Over the weekend, Americans were really thrown for a loop. We were all under the impression that TikTok was about to get banned in the US, but Trump swooped in to save the day. He gave them an extension to sell to a U.S. company. So for the time being, TikTok is still in the hands of Americans for better or for worse. They initially gave people this notice on the app that said, a law banning TikTok has been enacted in the U.S. Unfortunately, that means you can't use TikTok for now. We're fortunate that President Trump has indicated he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. Merely hours later, you would get this notice saying, thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's effort, TikTok is back in the U.S. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok. So I guess this means that Gen Z is going to win the good graces. Trump has won over a significant portion of Gen Z. This includes, first of all, one Gen Z icon named James Charles, who I thought was a beauty influencer, but he's branching out and making political content now.
Here we go.
I gotta keep it real. I am crashing the fuck out right now. I don't know what to do. Oh my god. I've already opened and closed the app probably 6 times already just to keep getting the same stupid warning message. Oh my god. Like, this just this is so dystopian. First of all, I feel pathetic that I am freaking out like this over an application being unavailable on my phone.
You should feel
but
that
also
way.
like this has been a massive part of our life for the last 6 years. And normally when something happens, I would get on TikTok and start complaining, and I can't even do that. I
did say, I said, isn't it ironic that the greatest crying on camera video that one could ever make for TikTok would be about TikTok being closed, therefore you can't actually make it? I was like sitting around, I was like kicking that idea around in my head, and I was thinking of all of the really, really clever X users who would be able to say that in a really, really funny way. But I'm just not I'm just not
Saved
funny.
to drafts.
Like I'm just not funny like that. But it is ironic.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
yeah.
feel like disconnected. I feel cut off from the world and my community.
Got any of that
This is fucking
TikTok,
crazy.
man?
God, and I can't, like, now I'm rooting for Trump? Ew! God, like, make America fucking great again, I guess. God.
It's very hard to believe in that the guy's a fascist when that's all it takes to sway you.
You know, I kind of saw this coming for James Charles particularly for a while now because his own following hates his guts already.
Really? Why?
Because he's just had scandal after scandal for years now, and nobody likes him anymore. They just follow him because it's a clown show.
And as I
and he
think
has
I
nothing
mentioned-
left to lose. Might as well just go full MAGA.
Well, there's nothing the right likes more than to take the left.
dregs.
The dregs.
The
They're like, I always like the cut of that guy's jib.
Exactly.
And again, I pointed out yesterday, I think, and I'm not 110% sure, that when Trump was, because a lot of people like to point out that Trump wanted to ban TikTok too, I believe that was just for government phones. He didn't want people with government phones to have access to TikTok because it was a security risk. I don't believe that was a nationwide ban. I could be wrong, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, Trump posted to Truth Social, I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. I'll issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibitions take effect. And that's exactly what he followed through and did. I'm just not sure it's really for the best of Gen Z's mental health, if we're being honest.
To keep it around?
We needed to cut that umbilical cord. I was really hoping there would be like that final moment where it really sets in. You know, they didn't go through all the stages of grief.
Well, no, and then the thing is once you get through the worst part of the withdrawal, there's a bit of clarity there, but
and it never came.
Yeah,
They
there's a big super
got
chat
their
there.
fix. Just Because I'm Free said the whole TikTok thing was a bad move because of the fact it's spyware, but it was an interesting political move by Trump. TikTok is crack for the kids, but still TikTok should be banned.
Look, I would love to see some very, very gifted political commentators on both sides of the issue have a debate on this. I am not one of them. I am not smart. But
Purely from a selfish perspective, though, I want TikTok to get banned permanently because I haven't been allowed on the app for like 3 years
she's like, if I
now.
can't have it, you guys can't have it either.
That's why I felt
I did see your
nothing
tweet. I did
this
see your
entire
tweet. You
time.
said, what was it like? I got banned for this. You got banned for.
Like they got banned for 12 hours, if that. And I have been banned on TikTok for 3 years now. How do you think I feel?
You're like, we are not the same.
We are simply not the same. I'm built different, okay? But in the meantime, obviously, while TikTok is coming back online for Americans, they're still going to these alternatives, including Red Note. And I saw some really interesting, disheartening develops happening on Red Note over the weekend.
What radicalized you?
Yeah, this first off, this is the one I find way more interesting than anything political.
Hold, please.
Thank you. Is that our third part? Thank
Let's
you.
get to 5. 5 today.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat.
Okay. So, this person on X says, American women on Red Note are already triggering a gender war in China. Chinese men on Red Note are thirsting after American women ceaselessly. It's actually kind of pathetic, but here, you know, American women are doing the same thing that they were doing on TikTok, posting thirst traps. Here were some of the comments translated from Chinese on Red Note. After seeing foreign girls, I'm no longer interested in domestic ones. Here was another set of comments. You're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. I'll swim across the Pacific Ocean to find you. Another one said, after watching Foreign Girls for a few days, my taste has surprisingly changed. Another one said, I love your gray outfit so much. Can you please send it to me without washing it? That is not going to make it through customs, bro. No.
Send it via DHL.
Another one said, I don't know if it's a bit immoral to have so many heart flutters in a single day. What should we do? What should I do if I like all three and want to have them very much? What should we do? I annoyed.
Wasn't there like a story where like, and I think it was proven as like fake, where like Elon got Starlink to some remote tribe and they immediately started downloading porn.
That was real. That was actually real.
I thought that was fake.
Another comment said, I dare not continue scrolling. I've been staying up late for 2 days now, and there are too many foreign girls to keep up with. And then another one, this made me laugh. I will hold my breath until you reply me.
Don't do that. You could be holding your breath for a long time.
And this is the worst. Sorry, but I did something bad to your video as a way of stress relief. This just being translated from Mandarin is so funny to me.
See, and here's the thing, guys. Selfishly, I want TikTok to stay around because it makes my job infinitely easier.
They were writing straight up sonnets. One person said, first time seeing you, it's as if the stars have poured down onto the earth. Your radiance captivates me, completely ensnaring my heart and soul. As an American woman, your beauty is unparalleled. Your gorgeous hair shines like the brilliant sun, flowing with an enchanting luster as smooth as if you've used Head and Shoulders. Your eyes are like black holes in the Milky Way, filled with endless mystery and allure, trapping me hopelessly with just one glance. Your demeanor is elegant and noble, walking as if a gentle breeze caresses willow branches, light and graceful. Every frown and smile of yours exudes a unique charm, just like blossoming flowers in spring, spreading fragrance everywhere, making everything around fade.
See, here's the problem with that, is like, just to give the guy a little bit of advice, is like, when you write that, right, what she's going to do is she's not going to be able to respond because she can't be like, thanks.
Well, she would need to go to Google Translate and put thanks into the Mandarin.
She can't just
translator.
say thanks because it seems unfair to respond to such a long and lengthy message with just one word, especially when it's a sonnet, right? So you're actually going to give her like paralyzing decision anxiety on how to respond. You have to use less characters if you're going to try and get her attention, lest she just move on and not respond.
I saw another hilarious one. I am a male, extremely loyal and deeply affectionate, very, very clingy. I want to find someone who is deeply affectionate, possessive, jealous, good at acting cute, loves to cry, has a romantic mindset, replies messages instantly, not necessarily, but will reply when seen, has a clean social circle, not fleeting interest. And you leave a message and I'll add you, may not reply instantly, can text with one hand while eating, emotionally stable, no violent tendencies, physically sound, independently breathing since childhood, can recite a multiplication table, has a clean social circle, he repeats, knows to run home when it rains, wears clothes when cold, eats when hungry, even reports seeing a stray dog, looking for a girlfriend who is active, and it just keeps going and going. The Chinese men have a severe loneliness epidemic going on
Well,
here.
you know, who needs one of those boyfriend applications when they fill it out themselves?
The CIA couldn't have dreamed up a one-shotting as effective as sending thousands of American girls to Red Note.
Yeah.
The thirsting is insane. It's out of control. So all of these Chinese men are going to get their passports ready and fly over to the U.S. to find girlfriends.
As the American guys are on their way to Taiwan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to fly to the U.S. for their girlfriends, and then the American guys are going to fly to, you know, Thailand, Japan, Eastern Europe, maybe, to find their girlfriends.
Yeah.
And the world will find its balance again.
Globalists win again, ladies and gentlemen. The globalists always win.
Yeah, I feel like the Chinese, users on Red Note were better off just having their own insular environment, and mixing these groups together with the TikTok refugees wasn't the best idea, especially once you see the political consequences. Gen Z went to Red Note and just immediately became socialists.
I mean, they were probably already socialists, but they became communists.
But this like really radicalized them to a degree that maybe wasn't possible before.
For my Chinese friends, I just want to tell you some discussions Americans are having right now. All of us agree and are astounded at how cheap and affordable your groceries, housing, and cars are. I have been watching you guys' grocery haul videos, and it is blowing my mind. America could never. A lot of us also cannot believe how advanced your country is, because we were always shown and told that you guys were a third world, like, starving country. That's just not the case. The fact that 95% of you guys...
You actually think for a moment about there's a reason why so many American goods are produced in China, but then the same person would have an issue with labor violations and stuff. Like, they haven't thought it through quite yet to its logical conclusion. You know, for the people who believe that everything is a human right, they're not really thinking it through. But I give them, I'll give them a pass. They're just finding out about this stuff now. Maybe she'll come around and realize that it's not all what it seems to be.
Guys own homes is mind-boggling. It is, like, seriously almost impossible to own a home anywhere in the US. You have to work immensely hard. How about y'all's law school is like $800 a year, and I think that your homeless rate is like 0.18%.
It's because it's illegal to be homeless there.
Yeah.
And the people who are mentally ill aren't allowed to just sit out on the streets via the freedom that you're given here in the United States. They're locked up someplace not nice.
I have people living outside of tents outside of my building. Like, it's terrible here.
Yes, that's freedom.
I saw somebody say earlier that a cancer medication that they get is about $20 in China, and they are paying $22,000 a month in the US for that same medication. What? A lot of you guys were also thinking that
the social credit score will deem whether you're allowed to have that medication or not.
it's propaganda that our kids sometimes, if they can afford it and their parents want to, will put them in a bulletproof like backpack to go to school. They also do stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance every single day before class starts. This whole experience.
You're not allowed to not, show your loyalty to China if you live there. So that's
also, if she wanted to move there, they would be like, we don't want you.
Yeah.
Experience might just be
like you haven't seen real racism yet until you see racism outside of the United States.
No.
The most awake and united I think I've ever seen this country. We are pissed at our government, number one. Number two, astounded. Absolutely astounded.
Go and find out how the Muslim population feels in China.
Americans are quickly realizing that the U.S. is not a first world country after spending a little time watching the lifestyles of Chinese on Red Note. One creator on Red Note said, Americans think they're free because they get to have opinions, but they don't get to have choices.
Also, I don't think they have actual property rights in China because the Chinese government owns everything.
That's kind of the whole point of communism.
Yes.
Here was another American getting awakened to the lies being spread about China.
The government has been lying to us about China for decades. Now that we've all gotten on Red Note and we can see the lifestyle that all of the Chinese people have, a lot of us Americans are fucking pissed.
Okay, so one thing I think is interesting is like, would they say the same? So if you go on Instagram and you want to look at the lifestyles of Americans, you're not going to see somebody living their 9-to-5 life. You're going to see travel influencers.
Oh, for sure.
You're not going to see the life of the average everyday American. So anybody who's using a social media facsimile of real life as your guide as to whether a place is good or not means that I have a bridge to sell you somewhere.
The price of going out to eat, the price of groceries, public transportation. And the people on Red Note are so fucking flabbergasted that we have to work 2 jobs just to keep our roof over our head. U.S. government, you fucked up big time, which is not a surprise because you do it constantly. Even if
I have no critique on that. That is true.
TikTok gets banned. I've seen enough. I have been woken up. I grew up fed propaganda that China is evil and that they treat their citizens like shit. I mean, I was raised by MAGA. It's the main reason why I feel so radicalized. American culture, American society is toxic, gross, poisonous. They poison our food. They jack the prices up of everything. We don't get health care. We don't get good public transportation, even though we're all on the same fucking continent. We destroy the planet for money.
The size of this country is enormous. I just found out yesterday that the state I grew up in, the state of Minnesota, is just a little bit smaller than the entirety of the UK.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina is bigger than England itself.
Yes.
It's a big country. But aside from any of the real reasons why Chinese lifestyles look different than American lifestyles, we don't even need to get into the weeds on that. Yeah. Because you can look at different countries that aren't communists that also have a higher standard of living. Japan is one of them. The issue is that leftists with septum rings they're not okay with the sacrifices that must be made for cleanliness and security.
Meaning
most of the time.
You mean like harsh law?
Yes.
Yeah.
They want all the benefits with none of the drawbacks. They're not making the connection.
You want to be able to litter while not understanding that the reason it looks so clean is because you'll get into very, very deep trouble for littering.
Right.
I hate to use that horrible phrase that everybody keeps using in these situations, like, this is what you voted for.
Well, yeah. But another thing that really interests me about Chinese culture is that they're so focused on appearances. So it makes sense to me that the appearance of a Chinese lifestyle on social media would look a lot different to what is really experienced by people in the country.
Yeah.
They're known for having severe infrastructure shortcomings that are merely hidden until disaster arises.
Yeah.
So they have a very about face culture.
Yeah.
And Japan also, it has a very shame oriented culture.
And there is no shame here in America.
Yeah. It's just, again, they are not willing to meet in the middle to have any of those benefits.
She could go there and work at a Shein factory.
Right. You know what? They should move. They should move and just get out. I would love for them to see how they like it there.
Yeah. It's but again,
call us in 2 years and tell us what you think after you live in China for a while.
All right. Let's go super chats.
DCNC said, Mary, are you on a one-woman mission to gross out the crisis actors today? Yuck. With the cringe or with the rib removal?
With the rib removal. Yeah.
I don't even know anymore. It's been a gross show.
I was hoping to get to 5 crisis parties today, but I'll settle for 4. I was doing my own version of the big ask. You know.
I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
DCNC said, Mary, ask him if he licked a cat's butt, and that's why Bretty got no fear. Did you lick a cat's butt?
No.
Okay, good to know. No. Well, it's like anyone who has an outdoor cat has toxoplasmosis. There's no way around it.
Well, luckily we don't have outdoor cats, but we do. There are outdoor cats in the neighborhood, though. Dusty and Bucket are both outdoor cats that just come and hang out.
You have toxoplasmosis.
No.
Ulvin McGoth said, I knew a girl who had a doctor cut out her womb because my ex-mistress / her mistress talked her into doing so.
Wait, you guys both had the same mistress?
This is deeply confusing.
This feels like one of those funny, like it's like it's like a funny language one. Like,
is this a riddle or something? I don't know.
Well, it's like where the lady was like, my husband's wife told, never mind. I can't think of it. I'd have to pull it up there. Never mind.
No Control said Trump officially said those who do not have a pair cannot grow a pair. I like that. That's clever. Just Because I'm Free said, is John Rich even touring? Because that has to do with what others are willing to do. I don't know if he actively is a touring musician anymore. Does he? I would assume so.
I would assume so.
But
look, he's a very talented dude who
he's made bank off of his music.
He's
in a very secure position. I'm sure a lot of people think it's hypocritical for him to call on others that rely on their careers more heavily you know, he's calling on them to take a risk that they don't feel they're in a position to make.
This was the type of funny business language I was talking about. It says, my husband's wife bought me this and I can't take them off. It means she bought them for herself.
Oh, I like that. Shane H. Wilder said posting on Blue Sky is called skeeting weirdos. Seriously? That's what they came up with? That sounds dirty. I don't like that.
Skeet.
DeBob03 said MagFest at National Harbor this weekend. Come out. I was just in DC.
Wait, so MagFest
gonna
and
get me
not
back.
MAGAFest? So it's like what? Like
Make
Pistol
America
Mags?
Great Fest.
No, I guess.
Just because I'm free said, by the way, Mary, Ian was right. Sending a girl a text is just like sliding her a note, not cringe. Well, the difference there, I get what he was trying to say.
I saw your post about the note. First of all, that was female handwriting. I do agree that was female handwriting.
Maybe he just has better handwriting than most.
Perhaps.
But the difference with sending someone a text versus passing them a note is that if you have someone's number and you text regularly, it means you already know each other and you've had an in real life conversation beforehand. Just passing someone a note who you've never spoken to before has no prior context.
What if it's folded, put into like, what if it's using like raised paper and it was written on a quill and it's put into a really nice envelope with like pro grade paper?
You could get away with that maybe in 1915 if you're at war.
Okay.
Besides that, you should probably just talk to women face to face instead of passing them a note like you're 13 years old. I'm gonna give you the solid dating advice that you need, even though it sounds mean. Do not pass notes if you're a grown adult. Not good idea. Value in You said, serious question. Do you guys have true hope for the future with trends like loneliness, people being single, worsening mental health, etc., AI? Do you have hope for the future, Brett?
I don't think about it on the macro scale. I think about it on a personal scale. And the best thing that society could do is to stop thinking about hope for the future on the level of everyone and start thinking about hope for the future in the realm of yourself and those around you. And in that, I do.
I mean, I have hope for the future because to not have hope is sin.
Oh.
So,
there you go.
You know, despair is one of the deadly sins.
To me, it's more about like, as I grow and I take on more responsibilities, which I am currently doing, that I never really imagined myself living long enough to actually give myself those responsibilities. That's both scary and invigorating, and it's something to look forward to, that you're challenging yourself, however terrifying that may be, to grow into a better person, a more adult version of yourself than you thought you were ever going to get a chance to be. And that's a hopeful thing for me, however scary it might be.
And it's true that we do live in difficult times for a lot of reasons that aren't as tangible as scarcity or danger, right? But it's fine to acknowledge that, and also you can take it as a compliment from God, your creator, who put you in a time like this and thought you were capable of handling it and loving people around you regardless. Isaac Andrews said, blue sky messages are called skeets. I wish I never learned that. Like, I hate that so much. Tacti Plati said, yes, there was a female bishop that gave some woke thing to Trump and Vance today. Pull it up, Jamie.
I saw
what woke
that.
thing?
Was it about transgenderism or something? I don't know. It's more political even than what we were talking about
There
earlier.
ain't no such thing as a female bishop. Dr. Freakoff said they should have asked Hugo Boss to dress them. I don't know what that means. Shane H. Wilder said, hot take, conservative women are generally prettier and dress nicer than liberal women, regardless of economic class. They understand decorum. Generally, this is true. But at the same time, I was looking around DC with all of these people wearing MAGA hats. A lot of them didn't know how to dress.
Oh, shots fired.
So it's not purely a political issue. It's a cultural issue. Just people don't put enough effort into what they wear these days.
Yeah,
Not
look at
enough
me.
self-respect.
I wear joggers to work every day.
It's not the best choice. And you know that. At least you acknowledge it. I mean, I'm glad that you're not out here with a bra.
That is true. That is true.
Corey Anderson said, what is the difference of her wearing a bikini top instead of a bra? I think it could have been worse. She could have dressed like Fetterman.
That was a funny
Wait,
one.
what?
So, yeah, because Fetterman wore shorts.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And
Wait, but that's even, like, I don't understand how he can go outside in, like, 10-degree weather with his
Pennsylvania.
calves out like that.
Easier to wear shorts as long as you got the sweater on.
Crazy.
Yep. Yeah, not exactly up to decorum. So that's one of those things where, depending on the day, I might say that's disrespectful. But on most days, I'd probably be like, I don't give a crap because they're all criminals anyways.
But she wasn't at a beach, so why would she wear a bikini anyway? Like, I think I would equally disavow her wearing a bikini top or a bra.
Maybe it's a shit test.
at
Maybe
the
she's shit
inaugural
testing him. She's
ceremony.
waiting for him to be like, to finally say change.
Waiting for Jeff Bezos, you mean? It could definitely be a shit test, but he's failing every time.
Yep.
I really hope the best for him. The Rumbling said, this just shows all that MMA training Zuck is doing turned him into a real boy. I don't know if I read that correctly.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So all of the testosterone he's building in his system from being active in
Do
a
you think
combat
he's on
sport.
TRT?
No, I'm saying like he's being more active. He's doing physical activity. Gets the testosterone going again, right? Because he's challenging himself physically.
Do you think he's on TRT?
Oh, I mean, it's not like he's huge. It's not like he's like a big dude. I don't know if he is.
Maybe you wouldn't be able to tell if he's like doing small doses.
I have no idea.
I bet. Jewish AF of Christendom said the guy threatening Republicans has heroin eyes. Just saying.
He does have he did have the red rings, the tired eyes. He did.
Oops. I'm sorry I missed this 20 from Jose Quintana. Sorry about that. Happy Inauguration Tuesday. The benedictions by those 3 religious men were terrible, political, and selfish theatrics. Ghost Empress, were you able to sneak into the Capitol? Overlord Empress 2028, LLPCC. I did not go anywhere near the actual ceremony because I didn't want to stand outside and I wasn't invited indoors either. So why would I bother?
And it was, and as for 2028, I don't think Mary will be of age in 2028 to hold.
You're right.
To hold office.
You're right. When would that be? 2036 then?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have to wait until 2036. But regardless, I'm not interested in holding public office anyway.
Yep.
So that's never going to happen.
Well, I mean, a lot of people believe that you were going to be sent down there so that you could be head of Donald Trump's kink shaming department.
Okay, if he calls upon me for that, I'm, yes, definitely reporting for duty. But otherwise, no. And yeah, I agree that some of those prayers were a little bit much. It was just it seemed a little disrespectful to be like screaming like that. But I'm not a Protestant. I don't know how you guys preach. Pop Culture Junkie said Disney focus group tested 5 different Captain America TV spots. None of them worked. That almost never happens.
That's crazy.
For Disney Plus?
No, Focus tested TV spots to run, like for people to get them to go to the theaters.
Oh, I see. Omega Red fan sent us a sticker.
It looks like a cat with blushing cheeks going with its hands on its cheeks.
Thank you for explaining that to us.
Well, I thought they didn't show up there. I thought it doesn't show up there, right?
No, not for me.
Yeah.
Everyone can see it except for me. Shane H. Wilder said, oh no, TikTok is down. Everyone who lived through the meta outrage of October 2021. Oh, not outrage. Outage of October 2021 that took out Facebook and IG. First time, LMAO.
I don't
remember that.
I remember that.
How long did that last?
What was it, like a day? Or
Like, it
something
couldn't
that?
have been that long. If you need it that bad, that should be your wake-up call. You have a problem. You need to go to social media rehab.
Yep.
In fact, those should exist if they don't already. One time at Bandcamp said these China men turned simp real quick once they got a taste of what Americans post on TikTok. This is exactly why TikTok is banned in China. LOL.
Yep.
The thirst traps, I guess they don't have thirst traps on the
Chinese
version
Douyin or whatever it is. Like
TikTok.
they heavily curate it so that you're not seeing stuff like that. You're seeing educational content and things that are good for society, just not necessarily things that have no societal value.
This is not a TikTok problem. This is not a TikTok problem. Meta was also exposed for the same exact thing. Actually, worse. Meta was exposed for
what they're
intentionally feeding sexualized content and pornographic content to users that they know are recorded as being under the age of 13.
Yeah.
So this is not China trying to course in American culture. Meta is already doing that.
Well, I mean,
it's not a China
but they're saying
problem.
like just because one does it doesn't mean that you should encourage that from another one that's even farther outside the realm of your reach, be it its citizenry or its government.
I don't really perceive Mark Zuckerberg as being under the thumb of the government.
I mean, they had there's been direct connection between government offices and the government getting involved in what Meta. I mean, he talked about that in his Rogan interview about the government getting involved in what was getting banned and stuff that was being censored related to COVID and things like that. Now, does that mean that Zuckerberg was the good guy and they were just leaning on him? No.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it, but I just don't believe that an American-owned company is at the mercy of Donald Trump. Shane H. Wilder said, "Remember, if you talk against the CCP, then you will be publicly deleted and your family will be charged for..."
The bullet.
It doesn't say that, though. It's something else. I don't know what that means. Caleb Blake said, "China Insider with David Zhang might have a few words for these lunatics. Two of them might be tofu dregs construction."
Okay.
I don't know what that means. Shane H. Wilder said, "We are to always hope against hope. When I feel bad, I look at Job and go, you know what? Job went through worse and things turned out okay."
You say Job and I say job, and that's every time I see that I have to.
Well, it's capitalized.
I know.
I got a clue.
All right.
But yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. I really thought we were going to get the fourth crisis party. Damn.
Me too.
Guys, come on. Before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed here yet already. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived.
Perfect. Guys, want to follow me Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. We are here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. All ratings and reviews help the show. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculturecrisis, Instagram at popculturecrisispod. Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.